Welcome, everybody, to Toronto City Hall. I, first of all, want to say thank you very much for the invitation to apply for the job. I was very specific in noting it was not a job offer. It was just an invitation to come and apply. But in my line of work, you've always got to have a plan B, and so there is an election later this year, so I'm very grateful for that. And if there's anybody else, by the way, we could have an open mic later where people could offer me the opportunity to come for an interview. I want to say as well what a great thing it is. Normally when I stand here and speak or sit in my seat and speak, and if the stands are this full, it's full of angry people that are angry about something. So maybe you are angry, but you're keeping it to yourselves, and I'm just happy that you're here because I think it's a great testament to TechTO that you are all here. I want to particularly welcome Sonia. You may not know who Sonia is. I didn't either, but she phoned me today and said, when we come tonight, could we have our picture taken, our team with you? And I'm sort of busy going, well, how did you get my phone number? And when I asked her that question tonight, she just said, Israel. And I'm not sure what that meant exactly, but it could mean anything. I want to welcome Daniel, who's sitting right here. Daniel is actually sitting, my seat is here, and the person who sits next to me is Councillor Giorgio Mammoliti, who you may have seen on television. And Daniel, you're 3 years old, and it's just fantastic to be sitting beside you tonight. I'm not going to say any more than that. And for those sitting up in the press gallery, thank you so much for sitting in those seats compared, well, never mind, I'm not going to go there. That would be bad. I'm glad to be back at TechTO. This is one of the events that I tell people about because if they haven't been here and seen it for themselves, I'm not sure they'd believe it. In terms of the number of people who come out, a lot are entrepreneurs, but a lot are people who want to support entrepreneurs, and that includes me. Because I want to be supportive of what you're doing because it is so fundamentally important to the future and the present of our city. And I'm not going to speak for long because I know you're here to listen to all the other people that are helping to build these great enterprises and helping us in turn to build a great city. But I want you to know that just in the last week, because it is something that is important we're trying to do, that I have worked as part of the city government with two of the founders that you're going to be hearing from tonight. Last week, we announced a partnership with Ritual, founded by Ray Reddy, as part of our King Street pilot project. Now, we're taking a bit of flack on that, but I strongly believe that is the right thing to do to move people on public transportation and not have streetcars going slower than people who walk down the sidewalk. We just can't have that in the 21st century city. But you folks know better than most that when you do something that is disruptive, which the King Street pilot project has been to an extent, it's disruptive to a lot of people, it's going to cause some ripple effects that are in need of attention. And so what we had to do, because one of the things that happened with the King Street pilot project was that business suffered from some diminished patronage of their companies, was to get people back to King Street, to patronize those businesses. And so we worked with Ritual to design a targeted incentive, offering a discount to people who use the app to go to those restaurants on the pilot project strip along King Street. And it's been very popular. It allows us to measure and track the impact of what we're doing. But it's a great example of where we're doing something that involves pretty sort of solid old-fashioned public transportation, but now combining that with technology, and on top of all that, a King Street company itself. And we're very proud of that. But I think this is something that we're trying to do more of because we're only really going to be able to be as good as the reviews that we just got, you know, in terms of being a tech ecosystem from Alex and Jared, if we are showing that our entire corporate community and all the governments here, companies big and small, and the government, are prepared to be partners and to allow our city to be the place where the work you're doing is being showcased. If I had a dog, and you got it a little wrong, and I'll tell you, it wasn't you alone, because when I met the founder of Sniffer this evening upstairs, I said, well, is this about dogs having dates with each other? Because, you know, why not? I mean, dogs could have, well, no, dogs have play dates, so why wouldn't you have the app? No, it was about the owners having the dating, and you figured that out pretty quickly too. But having said all that, if I can go somewhere to a dog park and stand there or find a way to demonstrate the technology of what he's doing with Sniffer, I'll be there, because that's how we're going to build this city up in terms of being a place that isn't just good for startups, but also is a place where they can show what they can do. I mentioned two founders that you're going to hear from tonight. The other one that I was with earlier this week was the founders of Borrowell with Eva and Andrew. And I've known them for many years. In fact, I even said they were the Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer of the tech community, because they're always seen together. And then at one stage, way back when I first knew Eva, she has, what, an 8-year-old son, I think it is, son now. I thought maybe, well, I didn't know who, who. I thought they were but they're not. They're business partners, and they've established this fantastic business. I went to the opening of their new offices, and they're doing so well. They're hiring too. You're going to hear that story, I'm sure, tonight. And I'm so proud because I have known them since way before they came up with this idea. They've got 35 employees, plans to double it, and they've committed themselves as well to a diverse workforce, which I think in this city is very important. And I should just mention on the way by that we have sent a signal out of here, including the technology advocate, Michelle Holland, who sits right behind me there. We sent a signal about women in tech, because I heard earlier on the question being asked about women founders, and said that we wouldn't come any longer. We discovered we were going to a lot of meetings and seminars, not this one for sure, where there just weren't representative numbers of women on the panels or even in the audiences. And we just said, look, unless you can satisfy us that you're going to do better than that, we just won't come to the events. And so now people actually are thinking about that, because if they want us to come and to sort of talk about how we're trying to be helpful, then they make an effort to have more women on their program and to have more women in the audience. And it's working because people have actually changed some of their programs. We, four other founders, when I was here last year that were here, Ben Zifkin, Jacqueline Ling, Michael Ketchen, and April Dunford, were at this event last year, and they helped us to come up with an idea, Ben Zifkin in particular from Hubba, to go to New York. And it was their idea. When it's discussed that I travel far and wide, I want you to know I don't travel as far and wide as was implied, but I do travel because it is part of this job to go and sell, not just Toronto, but to sell the tech community and the film community in Toronto, because they're extra special things that I think we have to advertise to a greater extent. And they did come up, Ben and the others that I mentioned, with the idea of leading a group to New York with the express purpose of doing something we really do have to do. We have to brag more. We're not instinctively inclined to do that as Canadians and Torontonians. But we have to go and make sure the world knows even more than they know today about the tech ecosystem we have going here. And we stole a page, frankly, from TechTO, because when we went to New York, what we did is we took a bunch of companies, I mentioned some, and we had them do, I think, 2 or 3 or 4 minutes each, a little kind of just like the open mic that we just saw. And I can tell you, as someone sitting there, even though I knew about these companies, and I was the mayor of Toronto, and of course I'm going to be proud of them, I was really, really proud of just what you heard. And of course it was the tiniest sampling, even of a fraction of what's in this room, let alone in the whole city. But I can tell you that the impression that it created when we actually took people there and they told their story and they talked about what's going on here and the diversity of our talent pool and the quality of life in our city and the people coming out of our educational institutions, it caused a lot of people to think about Toronto, and that's what we have to do. And I know there'll be mixed views in this room about the Amazon bid, but I'll tell you something. The Amazon bid forced us to put the story of Toronto together in a bid book. That bid book, which we were smart enough, and I say we were only 2 out of 238 cities to make our bid book entirely public. Why? Because all we did was told the truth in the bid book. There were no secret deals offered. There was no big check being offered to be written to Amazon. We just said, come here because we got the smartest people and more of them, and we're going to produce even more. The only commitment we made was to invest more in STEM education so we could produce even more graduates, so there are plenty to go around for all the entrepreneurs and also for a company like Amazon. But guess what's happened to that bid book? Almost more important than the results of the competition. I'm glad we made the playoffs, but you know what? That bid book has been downloaded around the world, the story of Toronto Tech, 12,000 times since we put it up online. So I want to just say to you that how proud I was to have Alan Lau from Wattpad and Hudi Idris from .health, Alyssa Furtado from RateHub, Kirk Simpson from Wave, Carrie Liu from Rubik Cloud, Steve Irvine from Integrated AI, Farhan Thawar from Helpful, and on it went. These were the people that came with us. I think they came, as far as I know, at their own expense, but even if we helped them, it doesn't matter. They came to tell our story, our collective story that is going to help build you and us up. And that is incredibly important. Michael Catchwin was part of that group talking about the amazing growth of Wealthsimple, and you see this now all the time. And he's contributed so much to our fintech strength. And people in New York are not inclined to think that. You know, if you live in New York and you work there and you have a company there, you think everything begins and ends there. We know that's really true here. Everything begins and ends here. So we had to make sure they understood that down in New York. April Dunford joined us. She's helped us a lot about marketing what we've got going on here, because it is a story that remains largely untold. told. So I just want you to know how important that is that we were able to have that event. We're going to do more of it. I took a group to London. The very first trip I took as mayor. And who did we take? People from FinTech to showcase the talent that we had going on here. I want to just finish on this note, which is to say that it is very important that you continue to develop the applications, to innovate, to invent things, to start up new businesses, because you represent the future of Toronto. But I say it all the time because it's true. You also represent the preservation of the economic strength we developed before groups like yourselves even existed. Every job today, every single one, every job, without exception in Toronto, is going to be affected, not just a little bit, but probably significantly by the work that you are doing and people around the world are doing. And by getting together with those people, as many of you in this room are doing, I met people here who are in the insurance business working with technology, and technology working with insurance, and on it goes. You are going to help preserve jobs here. You're going to help preserve existing jobs here on top of all the ones that you're going to create that are new. And I say it all the time, and I think it is a fundamental part of how we live here and why people do admire Toronto. And that is, we are doing that not just for the sake of prosperity. Prosperity is important. It's important you do well, and so that you can support yourselves and your own families, and that we can live well here. But prosperity is even more important because the quality of life here has as much to do with how we give a hand up to people, how we support people, how we support the 51% of people who live here who had the courage to come from somewhere else. And some came a long time ago and others came a short time ago. 51% of the people who live in the city were born outside of the country. And a lot of them need just a little bit of support from us to make sure they can be the best they can be. And by the way, when I'm in New York or anywhere else, especially in the United States though, I talk about how immigration has built this country. Immigration has built this sector. We've had people from all over the world come here, and we've decided that we're going to continue to have open arms and open minds and an open heart with respect to people from around the world, because all we get out of that is the best and the brightest from around the world to come and join us here and build up this prosperity, which in turn then allows us especially to help people who are struggling and who need just a little bit of support. And you will help. You will use the very same creativity that has you in this room with all the ideas we heard from tonight. You will use those ideas to help us build a better city. And that is why I'm in the business that I'm in. That is, I'm at a certain age, and I've had a certain, different careers already that causes me not to have to be here for any of the wrong reasons. And I'm not right all the time, and people aren't going to agree with me all the time. But I'm here fundamentally because I believe we have something really special going on here that is noticed by people around the world, that is admired by people around the world. But we still have a long way to go. And it is your creativity and your determination and your new ideas and your new businesses and your new jobs that is going to take us to where we need to be and make sure we stay there. Because the real test is 25 years from now, are we still one of the most livable cities in the world? That's the test. Today, it's nice to be on that list. Can we do the things we have to do to be there 25 years from now? And you are such a huge part of that I make sure when this event is on the calendar every year, I mark it down and don't miss it, because you are a huge part of what is going to be the future great success of this fabulous place that we call home. So thank you for that, and I'll look forward to hearing some of the speakers tonight.
It is always wonderful to welcome our mayor. We're not done yet. Who is now, I love this. 3 years ago, we would name drop the mayor, and now the mayor is name dropping all of us, which I think is fantastic. And it's now tradition to give the mayor a ill-fitting T-shirt from TechTO each year. So today we want to do something a little different.
Is that some sort of comment on my weight that it's ill-fitting?
We've done this routine a couple times. And so we want to do something special this year. He's been to Best Of, but he hasn't yet joined us at FinTechTO or SalesTO, a few of our new communities. So we wanted to give him some new colors to go in his wardrobe. So let's do the picture here. This is.
All right, I should put this one on. Come on.
Oh, he's okay. Okay. Hold on. This is a family event. It's a.
George Mammoliti once took his shirt off in here to demonstrate about something. I forget what it was. I'm not going to do that because there's a number of small children here. It would scare them.
Can't beat that. We have a new host, I think, for TechTO. Here goes purple. It's his new color. SalesTO, come join us. Learn a lot about selling technology and sales. Now, we have something else because I know you don't always wear T-shirts in your line of work. You know, a lot of us wear T-shirts. So one thing that we've done is to we have to be in a lot of places. We've done this. We've tried to scale ourselves by creating large heads of ourselves, so that wherever we go, when you have these, people remember that there's a technology community here. So we're going to give you, Mayor, your own head, and. And this is a cool story because this is a Toronto company that builds these online and ships them to your door. We ordered this morning, and you have it today. So there you go. When you're not here, you can add. That's pretty cool. Thank you so much. Are you going to stick around and watch a...
I'm going to listen for a bit. I meant to note earlier on, did you notice that the guy that lost his phone is the only other guy in this room wearing a tie? Does that say something about us? I don't know. Sorry. Anyway, I'm going to put this in my chair and I never have to come to a city council meeting again. No, I'll come. I'll show up every day. I'm here, folks. I'm working for you. It's all right.
Round of applause. Best mayor in the world.